Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Can You Learn Art from YouTube Videos? So we're going to be continuing this series and checking out a new artist today. So this is the sketch that we'll be working with. I went ahead and did this ahead of time so it wouldn't make the video so long. I'm going to be inking this in with a Pilot Cocoon fountain pen. C-O-C-O-O-N. This was a gift from my son. He actually got this as a graduation from high school present, and he never used it, so he gave it to me, and I am happy to use it because it writes wonderfully. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink all of this in. I'm not trying to be so perfect and just kind of loosely sketch all of this information in. I've got the original video done up in the top left corner here, and you can see this person that's doing it. His name is Ian Finley. Really great artist. I just love his work. I love the selection of colors that he uses especially. But he uses kind of mixed media when he does his art. So a combination of brush pens, fountain pens, he does markers, gray markers, black markers, and then kind of combines all of those with the watercolors together to make his art. And I just think it's just wonderful, and he's a great teacher too. The video that I am using today is on the channel Etcher Studio, so that's E-T-C-H-R Studio, and he was showcased on one of their videos. They have all kinds of guest artists on here that showcase their work and kind of give little tutorials, I guess you would say, or demonstrations, but their ultimate goal is to sell courses through the Etcher Studio platform on how to do different kinds of art. They're a little bit pricey for me, so I have not taken any of these courses. I try to find, courses that are free, that are also very helpful for learning. I think that's very important. But, I understand that people need to make a living some way, somehow, so that's okay too, and I'm not against people making money off their art because I try to do the same myself, so no biggie there. But as far as watercolor goes, I'm very new to this platform, this media. I've traditionally been a pencil, paper, and a digital artist for most of my artwork that I've done. So this is kind of new territory for me, but I'm really enjoying it recently. I like the freedom of watercolors because, if you're painting with oil paints or something like that, or acrylics or something. Now, I don't have any experience in either one of these, so what I'm saying might be BS anyway, so who knows. But anyway, my impression of oil painting is once you make a mistake, or I'd say a big mistake, it might be kind of hard to turn away from that. But with watercolor, it's so loose and so free to me to do this, because the thing that never attracted me about oil painting, and my uncle was real big into oil painting, but for me, when I get the inspiration to do some artwork, I don't want something to be a burden or take that inspiration away in the moment. So with oil paints, you guys know how difficult it is to maintain your equipment, keep the brushes clean. You got to deal with dangerous chemicals, cleaners, thinners. And if you're in a closed space, it's probably not very healthy, which I am in a closed space in a small apartment. So the preparation and the things it takes to get started and the cleanup afterwards just kind of kills it for me. But with watercolors, I mean, you need a cup of water, and your paints and paper, and that's it. And you can pick it up. You can get started in like 2 minutes. You can clean your brushes in 2 minutes and put everything away, and you're done. That is, I don't know, it's very appealing to me that you can do that. Also, if you are a urban sketcher, I mean, how easy it to take a little portable palette with you, you know, a cup of water. We all carry water bottles, usually, at least I do, everywhere I go. So you've already got the water there, and then you got your little palette. And the one that I'm using is a Cotman Winsor & Newton. I don't know what it's called, actually, but it's a pocket size palette, and it comes with 12 colors in it, and it comes with a little brush, which I haven't used really yet. I might, I guess, if I was to take it out in nature somewhere, and I might do that this summer now that it's getting warmer here in Japan. So that's an idea that I might be picking up. So I might film some of that. That would be kind of fun, I guess, and just being out in the sun and the wind, and might be kind of nice, actually. So I might try that anyways. But yeah, it's a pocket palette, 12 colors, Winsor & Newton, Cotman. So Cotman is the lower, it's the same brand. I mean, Winsor & Newton is the same brand, but they have a professional series of colors, and then they have the Cotman series of colors, which is supposed to be a little bit downgraded from the professional ones. I've bought some of the professional ones separately from this palette, some colors that I wanted, and they're not that much more. I guess if you buy them in a collection, they're much more. I mean, it kind of adds up when you get like 12, 13, 14, 15 colors. But if you buy them separately, you know, the little Cotmans are probably, they're 200 yen, 300 yen. So I would say that's probably about $1.50 or $2 each in US dollars, the way the exchange rate is now. And then the professional ones are up around 500 or 600 yen, which is probably about $3.50 or $4. So they jump up a little bit, but I have noticed the difference in them. The Cotmans, they're not as vibrant as the professional ones are. But as far as the way they act and everything, I don't see much of a difference in that. So you take that for what it's worth and use the ones that, you know, I mean, if you're just starting out, I would suggest that the Cotmans are probably the best choice for you to see if you like it. You know, if you enjoy what you're doing, then you can go ahead and invest in the more expensive ones. But the one thing I don't recommend is the cheap kids watercolors. And I bought some of those just getting started with because I just wanted to see if I liked it or not. And yeah, I didn't use them but for one painting because they're like, there's a big difference. They don't mix well. They don't absorb into the paper well. You can see if you put down two colors, they're very separated. So it's a big difference. So some of the things that I've found out, I guess I'd like to talk about so far. Oh, and there's the subscribe button. So if you have not done that, please, it would be so awesome if you did, and hit that like button too. But anyway, getting back to what we were saying, I suggest the things that I've really noticed since I've been doing is it really matters the type of watercolors that you have. The way that they act on the paper is big difference. The other thing that I've noticed is the type of paper you use is so important. I got some mixed media paper, and here I am. I'm starting to lay down some colors now. But I started out with some mixed media paper, which was not exactly for watercolors, but for a lot of mediums. And yeah, it's not good. It doesn't work well. But the expensive paper, or the best paper, is really, really expensive, especially here in Japan. From what I can tell is I guess the paper weight is really important. I think a lot of people use the is that 400? Let me get my tablet real quick. The 300 gram, which is 140 pound thickness paper, is what most people use. And especially here in Japan, from what I understand, the Arches is probably one of the best brands, and that's the ARCHES. Man, it's expensive. Here in Japan, it's for 12 sheets of 9 by 12 size, 9 inches by 12 inches. It's about 5,000 yen, which is about $38 US dollars. So I guess if you were selling your paintings, it would be worth it, because you'd be making that off of probably one painting off of one sheet. But for me getting started and just learning, I didn't think that was good for me for right now. So I went ahead and bought Canson, C-A-N-S-O-N, XL watercolor paper. And it's like a huge difference from the mixed media one that I bought. I mean, it doesn't buckle as much when it gets wet, because when you get paper wet, if it's not made for watercolor, of course, it's going to kind of have waves in it. And you're going to have to straighten that out eventually if you're going to sell it, or if you're going to hang it on the wall. But yeah, it blends well when you try to do that gradations in your paintings and stuff like that. It just works really, really good. So paper is a big, big plus, and quality watercolor paint. So I'm going to leave that with that. So here I am. I have used some of the same. I'm kind of following along with the video, and you can see up in the top left there, I've got it going while I'm doing mine. I don't have the same colors as he did when he did his, so I just kind of matched them the best I could, which I think it makes it more original too. I don't want to copy him exactly, because I don't know, I just don't like copying people exactly. You know, I'd rather have something of mine in there. But, you know, I am giving them credit. I'm not saying this was me. I made this sketch. I did it, because that's not right either. But I'm following along a tutorial. That's what they're for. And I'm just seeing if I can learn how to get better at watercolor by using YouTube videos. So you can see the way his blends in compared to mine. He's using the more expensive paper, and probably more expensive paints too, of course. But you can just see the way they blend into each other is just so much different than mine. Or maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not using enough water, or maybe I'm using too much water. But I mean, that's what I'm here trying to learn. So with that, yeah. All right, so I'm just kind of putting in some neutral colors. I'm going to go back over that later on with probably some more different colors. But I think it's looking pretty cool. I just love the way that he uses these different colors, and that don't, I mean, if you were looking at this picture, or if you were out in the field drawing this, I'm sure the tires are not blue and everything, but he uses his own judgment as to far as what colors. And people have asked him, how do you go about choosing the colors for your paintings? And he says he doesn't really think about it. I mean, he just picks one and goes with it, and so there's no rhyme or reason to it. He just, whatever he thinks is good. So I think that's a pretty cool idea, because I've seen some other painters do this too. They'll draw a cathedral or something and then start putting in pinks and blues, which we know the cathedral's not pink and blue, but it really looks good afterwards. And I've done one on my channel before. I think I recorded that of I think it was St. Nicholas's Cathedral. I don't know if that video's up yet, but it might be in the wings of being published in the future, or it might be one of my, I think it's a live stream maybe. So if you look at my live streams, you might can find that. But it was done the same way, using just random colors. And I think using something like the primary colors, or just the primary colors, would be something that would be kind of cool, because as artists, we all know that all of the colors come from the primary colors. So, I mean, truth be told, you only need a palette of primary colors to have every color that you need. But to mix them up and get the ones that you're looking for might be a little bit difficult for some people. So here I'm putting more colors over the neutral colors that I've put down earlier. And I'm just kind of thinking about, you know, he didn't put green on his, but I'm putting green on mine right here. After it dried, it didn't show up very well. I think that's another thing I should mention probably is when you're doing watercolor, it's very important to let layers dry before you start adding new layers on top of it. So when you see jump cuts in live streams and you see jump cuts in my tutorials or my demonstrations, that's why, especially on the watercolor ones. You have to let it dry, and I usually take out the hair dryer to speed that process up, which I don't show that on camera, but a little behind the scenes tip that I do is to break out the hair dryer and put that thing on high heat and get this thing dry so I can continue the video. So I'm just putting in a little more rust colors under the car where it's probably been rusted out. I think next what I'm going to do is start adding in some darker colors probably. Yeah, start putting in some shadows. And some of those shadows I'm going to be doing with a black brush pen or a gray brush pen. So you can see I didn't let it dry that much yet, so the colors are not going down very well. So that's another thing I've noticed when you're trying to darken something up but it's still wet, it just kind of pushes the colors around. And where you have put your brush, it kind of picks up the paint, which does the opposite of what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it darker, and by picking up paint, it's actually making it lighter. So that's another reason why it's so important to let things dry before you get in to the next. And what you could do is you could concentrate on certain areas of the drawing or the painting, and then move on to another area while the one you just finished is drying. So that's another thing that you can kind of plan out. If you just do all at once, yeah, you're going to have some downtime while that's drying. So I'm just getting some more pigment in there because I think everything's kind of washed out just a bit too much for my liking. Ian's colors were so like, what's the word I'm looking for? They were so vibrant compared to mine, but that might just be the more expensive paint that he's using. So put in some yellows into these lights. And I think I'm using cadmium yellow, which is a kind of a cooler, more earthy tone yellow. So it looks like I'm starting to add in some shadows more now. So here's another good thing about watercolors. If you lay some colors down that you didn't quite like, it's very easy to grab a tissue and just blot that back up, which I just did. So I think what I did was I decided that not to use paints for the shadows, but to use these brush pens. So let's talk about the brush pens next. These are, the brand is Zig, Z-I-G, and they are called Watercolor, so K-U-R-E-C-O-L-O-R, alcohol-based markers. So they're kind of like the Copic markers, but they're much cheaper than the Copic markers. And Ian doesn't use alcohol markers. That was one of the questions they asked him in this video, and he says he only uses water-based markers. So I had gotten these because I wanted to do some pen and ink sketches and stuff like that using grayscales only. So I thought you try these out on this watercolor artwork too, and they seem to work very well. They don't like interfere with the watercolors at all. They just kind of go over it like they should. So I don't know if you can find these on Amazon. Like I said, they're Japanese, so I know a lot of the Japanese pens are very difficult to find in America. Same way with here. The American things are very difficult to find here. So we'll have to try to find things that are similar. But these Watercolors, they have two sides to them. On one side they have a fine tip, and on the other side they have a very broad flat tip to cover large areas. Now this one right here is a Tombow, T-O-M-B-O-W brush pen that I'm using for the black. And I think this one is a water-based. It's not an alcohol marker. But again, Japanese brand Tombow. I think you could find these on Amazon pretty easily. They're pretty expensive though. They're probably about $3 or $4 a pen. So I'm just adding in the dark spots, the really blacks, instead of using the painting with it. And one thing that I noticed with Ian, if you looking at the original video that I'm following, and there's a subscribe button again. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd be very appreciated if you did that. So thank you so much. So Ian, when he's sketching and when he's doing his, even when he's doing the part that I'm doing right now, he holds the pen way up at the tip like it's a paintbrush. And he says that gives him the very looseness that you see in his artwork. And maybe that is something that I need to do more of, because my drawing and my outline here looks so much more rigid than his does. And I think by him doing it very loosely, it gives it more character than mine. I don't know why, but it just gives it something different than mine. So I think I might do more of that next time. And also you can see that he's did some splatters onto his already, which I have not done yet. I kind of saved that till the end. So I'm just doing these contrasting parts right now, so in between the grill here. So I don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you think it's possible to learn art from free YouTube videos? Or do you think it's necessary to take traditional courses to learn art? It is a question. Another thing that I'm doing different in this video, which you guys can probably already tell, is I've done a voiceover post video. And the reason I've done that this time is because my wife has been very sick recently, and I did not want to disturb her. So I filmed the video quietly and decided I would add this voiceover when she got better. And she is out of the house today, so she's feeling much better. So I decided while the house was empty, I'd go ahead and do this voiceover. So I don't know if it's how it's going to relate to the people who usually watch my video, if this is something they like better, or if the way I usually do it is better. I'm not sure. I guess when I'm trying to talk and do art at the same time, it makes it difficult to do both and concentrate on what you're doing. But when I'm doing it this way, I'm not disturbing my drawing because I'm concentrated on my drawing, and now I'm concentrating on the voiceover. So they're completely separate. So you guys let me know which one do you prefer better. So I'd be interested to know that. So I'm just putting some details here with the pen. And it looks like I have switched over pens again. And this is to a... what is that? This is a Sakura Pigma Micron marker, and this is a 0.3. I guess that's millimeter maybe size. So very thin tip, waterproof marker. I'm just kind of looking at it and thinking, you know, where do I need to put some lines in? And I think at this point I had realized that mine was much more rigid than Ian's demonstration was. So I think I was trying to add some more shaky lines to try to give this thing a more loose sketch. I don't know if I'm accomplishing that because I learned art by comic books when I was young, so that's the kind of mentality that I have, which I'm trying to break, because as far as painting goes, it just doesn't work being so rigid. So here you see kind of adding some shaky lines to try to make this thing more loosely looking. I think the next time I do one of these, I'm going to try holding the pen up higher, like Ian did in this demonstration, to see what comes of it. So another thing I'd like to talk about recently is the art for kids videos that I've been making. I am kind of conflicted on what to do. As far as engagement, hardly anyone watches them. So I am thinking, is this even worth my time to make these videos if I have nobody that's really watching them? I mean, when I make a 15-minute video, people watch two minutes of it. So it's not good for the channel because YouTube is not going to show it to people if no one's watching it. That's just the way the algorithm works. So I'm thinking, is this worth my time to keep doing? Now, having said that, I also have to say that my most watched video of all time, which was 67,000 views, was on one of the Art for Kids videos, and that was the Spider-Man one. So that is the kind of mixed feelings I have on it. So maybe that was a fluke. Maybe that one video was a fluke. I don't know, because all of the other ones have not been even close to that. Recently, the most popular videos are the Procreate Dreams videos, which I can understand. It's a new program. People are kind of interested in how to use this program. But I don't see anyone making any full-length, long videos on, or let me rephrase that, full-length animations with it. So I think Procreate Dreams has kind of made people make just these little small 10-second, 15-second animations, or maybe animated GIFs is a good place for it. I don't think it's a good program for full-length animations. You could do it, so it's possible. But as far as the attention span of people who watch YouTube, yeah, they ain't gonna watch hour-long videos on that. So that's just being honest. So I am not an animator. I have no desire to be an animator. But I do enjoy doing the short animations using the artwork in Procreate. So that's one thing. I think that once the new wears off of Procreate Dreams, it probably won't be so popular anymore. And recently, I mean, in the past, all of my videos have basically been done digitally and done in Procreate, other than the Art for Kids videos. Which, I mean, there's a place for that. And I think it's popular because a lot of people have iPads and they can just pick it up and try to copy and do things that other people are doing. But I find there's more fulfillment and more fun in doing traditional art. So I think I want to do more of that on the channel in the future. We are coming up on, what is it now? It's May. 4 more months, it'll be 2 years that I have been posting on this channel. In the first year, I posted videos every single day. And then in the second year, I did 2 per week. And I have not missed that schedule even one day since I started. So, I don't know. I'm kind of confused as to where to go next on this channel. People have subscribed to my channel because of the Procreate videos. In the beginning, I had a lot of people subscribe to the channel because of the shorts, which that was a big mistake, I found out. Because shorts viewers and regular video viewers are 2 different audiences completely. And I learned that the hard way. So once I quit doing shorts and started doing longer videos, the engagement was gone, because people who watch shorts want to watch 15-second, 20-second videos, a minute at the most, and they're off to watch something else. And YouTube, as far as shorts goes, I don't know. I'm not part of the TikTok generation, so it's not interesting to me. And I find it's probably not interesting to people who are more serious about their artwork. So I have finished this. You can see I've added the splatters to it, removing the masking tape, and giving you my final shot. So I'd like to hear what you think. Did I come close to Ian's, or am I getting better? That's what I'm really worried about. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. We're going to go ahead and sign our artwork now. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, I wouldn't be doing this without the audience that I have. Thanks so much. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button, share it with your friends. And the Patreon is up. All of the things that you will need to follow along are over there, so go check it out. Thanks so much, guys.